I'm just feeding the dogs this morning, and I'm doing my regular morning check on the engine of the truck, and I want to show you what I found. I know a lot of you that live out there on the road, you've dealt with this issue before, but luckily for me, it hasn't really been much of an issue. I have had animals in the engine before, and you can see like I've got a couple little chew marks. These have been here for a while. They're just little tiny ones. They didn't do any damage yet, but the fear is that they get in here and start chewing on the wires, and then you have to hunt down which wires are shorted out or gonna short out and repair them. And I don't have any issues with that yet, luckily. But what I found this morning is, look at that, two little mouse turds right there. I mean, they look small, like small little turds, so it makes me think of a mouse rather than like a big rat or a chipmunk or something. But I guess I really don't know. It could be anything. So that is a good reason to leave this place. This place is awesome, but we're the only vehicle out here. If rats want to get into a vehicle, this is it. This is the only choice they have. And I have had a snake in the engine before here in the same spot. And the snake was probably coming up into here looking for rodents. The mouse turds, combined with the fact that we are pretty low on water right now, is a great reason for us to leave today. I could stay here another couple days, but I want to get out of mouse territory basically. And where we're going, I think is going to be perfect. I've never had any rodent issues there. And if I tell Echo, let's see if Echo can chase it out, if there's anything in there. Echo, get it. Get it, Echo, under there. Yeah, yeah. Get it. Get it. Echo, get it. Find it. Get it. Get it. I'll bring him over here to the front of the truck. Echo, get it. Get it. Get it. Get it. Go. Go get it. Echo. Right here. Yes. Yes, get it. Get it, Echo. Get it. Get it. He's smelling. And Dodger seems to be digging his brace pretty well. You see I got the name of it covered up just because I'm still testing it, because I don't know if it's a good product or not. It really seems to be helping him, and the construction seems to be decent enough. It was like 50 bucks, which is basically, it's pretty overpriced. If I don't get, you know, say 6 months use out of it before it falls apart, then I'm going to be disappointed with it. 50 bucks is a lot. And the problem is out here, like, you know, it scrubs up against brush, and, you know, he may roll around in the dirt with it, that kind of thing. I have found some cactus thorns stuck in it, which is not a big deal. But if it holds up, then I'll definitely be recommending it. It, like I said, it is really working pretty well right now, and it doesn't seem to bother him. He doesn't mind when I put it on, and it does add a little bit of support just because it's wrapped around his hind hock there. Now, it doesn't add a ton of support. I mean, you can feel the fabric, it's fairly thin, and it's not like super heavy duty fabric, but it is adding some assistance. Dude, he just goes through the weeds. Hit that like button, let us know you're watching. We like to know you're watching. And don't forget to subscribe. It says right there, propane bottles filled. But yeah, I'm at the Flying J, and they don't fill propane bottles here. I like the Flying J's, but there are a few, you know, this is a Pilot Flying J, and there are a few that are kind of dumpy. The one in Quartzsite sucks, like that's the worst one ever. But overall, they're really awesome. And when you go inside, they're always really clean inside, and you get a good price on gas. Like if you use their, they have like this card thing that you use online or on your phone or whatever. And so you save like 5 or 10 cents. And they always have like the best price in town. That's what I found anyways. So that's why I keep going there, is because they're generally some of the nicest places to go for gas and services. And I came here to get propane. I used to get water here. Let's go see if the water works. They have a dump here, but it hasn't worked for years. And supposedly the water here was potable. So I would always fill up here on the way. It's free. You know, I would always buy gas here and then get free water. But I heard that it doesn't work anymore. So let's see. Yeah, nothing. Okay. See, but it says right here, propane bottles filled. And they have a filling station right here. But he said they don't fill propane here. So I don't know what's up with that. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Like, it happens. Like, you get to a place. I remember going to a U-Haul once, and do not buy propane at U-Haul. I called ahead, and they're like, oh yeah, we have someone there that can help you do it. And they have a full tank of propane. I got there and they were empty. Then I went to another one. They didn't have anybody to pump it, but they had fuel there. So never go to a U-Haul to get propane. I learned that, and I will never go to U-Haul for propane. Usually I just kind of look on the iOverlander app, and it gives you really good locations and reviews, people that have used the services there. And so when I said that I found out the water wasn't working anymore, I found that on iOverlander. That's originally where I found this place as a source for good water. And I've stopped here a few times to fill up my tanks, and I would filter the water before I drank it, and I never got sick. Because normally I would not fill up drinking water at a dump like that. You saw the spout's like right above the dump, because people will use that spigot for all kinds of nasty stuff. And that's really what it's there for, is for washing out your tanks, washing out your sewer hose, all that. The only reason I use that one is because I knew that the dump didn't work. Because if you go in there and ask them, they're like, oh yeah, we don't let people use the dump, and it's locked, so you can't use it. And it also says that on the iOverlander app, that the dump just doesn't work anymore. So now I know that they also don't have propane here, even though it says right there that they do. And that's fine. I'm gonna head down the road to Love's, which I checked on the iOverlander app, and they do have propane there. So we'll see how that goes. Man, this gas station is so busy. That's the thing about some of these gas stations, having a trailer, you gotta be really patient, and you might be stuck behind somebody because you need to use a certain pump, because if you don't use the right pump, you're gonna have a hard time getting in and out, and you might be stuck behind somebody waiting, and they might be in the store, who knows, doing who knows what, like shopping or taking a dump or whatever, and you gotta wait for them to come out. It's a pain in the butt. But I'm used to that. Like, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, if you want to travel like this, there's certain things you're going to have to kind of get used to, like waiting in lines, going to a place and finding out, oh, they might even have propane here and they do fill tanks, but they don't have a guy to do it, or they don't have a person to do it. We're going to head down to the Love's now, which is just right around the corner, and fill up on propane. And I'm gonna see if they have a water source there too, because usually I would get water here, and there is a rest area about 30 miles from here where I'm planning to get water, but I need to be prepared that maybe that rest area doesn't have water anymore, or the pumps are broken, the water pump's broken or something like that. So I'll check at Love's and see if I can get water there as well. And you always see like interesting things at the gas station. Those guys have weapons anyway. Interesting. Oh, you guys are gonna love this story. I'm at the Love's, and there was a guy here filling up propane, and a really nice guy. He's like, yeah, come here, we're open 24 hours. The propane's expensive here. It's $4 a gallon plus tax. I'm used to paying, I've paid $2.25 before, but like in Quartzsite, I think it was $3.79, $3.49, something like that. So it's pretty expensive here, but I only needed 1.5 tanks full. And you can kind of feel the tank when you take it off of your rig and you can kind of tell. And plus I keep track of how many days I use it, and I know exactly how much propane I use. So I knew I needed one tank was completely empty and then half of another tank. And I know there's 7-gallon tanks. So I knew I needed about 10 and a half, you know, maybe 11 gallons. And so he filled them up, and I do this thing. I always tell the person who's filling them up, I say, this one's empty, and then I tell them approximately how much is in the other one, just so they know, right? Because I've had it happen before where I had a tank overfilled, and then you're driving down the road and you pull over and you just smell propane. It's just leaking out. And you're thinking like, Echo, leave it. There's a dog park here at the Loves. I mean, Loves is a great place. Like, I really like it, and I will come back here to get propane because it's convenient, and he said it's open 24 hours. But here's the thing. I don't know how I needed, like I said, about 11 gallons of fuel, but it's 14.8. It was 14.9, but he changed it to 14.8. And so I asked him, I said, whoa, what? If one was empty and one was full, or if one was empty and one was half full, then how could it be more than 14 gallons in there? And he said, oh, those are 10-gallon tanks, bud. You're completely filled up. You're full. And like, that math would work, right? If they were 10-gallon tanks. But I was like, no, those are 7-gallon tanks. I've never had more than 7 gallons put in one at a time. And he's like, oh no, those are 10-gallon tanks. And so then I start looking on the tank to show him, no, it's a 7-gallon tank, but it doesn't say anywhere on there that it's 7 gallons. And he pointed to one number. He's like, oh, it says 10 right there, bud, 10 gallons. And I said, no, it says it has to be re-registered within 10 years. That's what's printed into the tank. You know, they have to be recertified every 10 years. And these tanks are only like 3 years old. They're very new. I got them at Costco, by the way, for like $50. It's a good place to get cheap propane tanks. And so then he starts thinking like that I'm saying he didn't put that much in there. And I'm like, no, I believe you that you put 14.9 gallons in there, but I'm worried that they're over full. And in fact, when he screwed the top valve all the way down, it still was spewing out. And he didn't say anything about it, but I didn't either. And you know, I just always think like, this guy does propane all the time. He knows what he's doing. But he's claiming now that they're 10-gallon tanks. I know that they're 7-gallon tanks, but I have no way to show. It doesn't say it on the bottle that they're 7-gallon tanks, but it's just that size, right? Like when I go to Quartzsite to get them filled up, they put 7 gallons in and then they turn it off right away. So he had a scale and he's like, I'll weigh it. And then he bled it off until it stops spewing out. So I have one that is, it could have an extra, what would that be? 7, an extra 3 gallons in there. Like, it's supposed to have 7 gallons and one might have 10 gallons in it. And I don't like that. I mean, and the thing that bugs me is that, I don't know. I didn't want to start he was a nice guy. And he did say, he said, oh, I really thought those were 10-gallon tanks. Sorry, bud. Well, I guess those are 7-gallon tanks. And it's like, Jesus Christ, like, what more can I do? It's like, I told him how much is in each one. I said, this one's empty and this one's about half full. So he should know in his head, oh, 7, so it's going to be about 10 gallons of fuel. So when you get to 14 and a half or 15 gallons, then you should say, oh, I did something wrong. So anyways, I paid for the 14.8 gallons of fuel, which was $65, which, it's expensive, but, whatever. So I have the fuel. I'm not disputing that that's in there, although we did bleed out probably a gallon of fuel, so that's just wasted. It's just one of those things. It's like, I can't pump it myself and monitor it, but I guess what I need to do now is say, these are 7-gallon tanks. This one needs 7 gallons. This one is about half full. So then there's no dispute. These are 7 gallons. I told you from the beginning, they're 7-gallon tanks. I just assume that they know what size tanks they are. And there should be some sort of automatic shut off when it gets to a certain fill. They're only supposed to fill to like 80%. But now I'm calculating it. I'm like, I think one's like 120% full. So, you know, if you don't see any more videos, then once this video gets published, you'll know why, because that tank's gonna blow up. The one cool thing about this Loves is I saw my first Cybertruck in person, which was pretty cool. I wasn't able to get video of it, you know, sorry about that, but Cybertrucks are pretty cool. They're cool looking anyways. I don't think I could tow this trailer very far with a Cybertruck, but someday that's what we'll be doing. Someday. I know I was supposed to check for water here, but I just want to leave this place. It's busy, and maybe I should check. I just feel like this rest area is going to have water, so I'm kind of gambling. I want to get some miles done. You guys, we made it to the rest area. It's a little hot, but it's not too bad, really. Here is where we're gonna get water. You can see it right there next to that black truck. There's a water station. If my luck continues today, there's not gonna be any water there. But if I have a change of luck, we're gonna get all the water we need. Now, the way I'm gonna have to fill it up is kind of funky because I can't get my rig right over there. I'm not gonna be able to run a hose and fill up my trailer that way. So I have these 6-gallon jugs in the bed of the truck, and I wanna get those filled up too, so I can carry 24 gallons in the truck itself. And then the trailer has a 24-gallon tank, which I'm gonna use those 6-gallon jugs to hand fill. So it'll take 4 of those to fill up the trailer. And then I'm going into camp with 50 gallons of water. It's easier to do it with a hose, but you know, I don't mind lifting those jugs and holding them up at the trailer spout and filling it that way. It's, you know, it gives you a little workout. It's kind of something to do, but it is heavy. I mean, they're heavy. They're 50 pounds when they're full. But I really don't mind doing it that way. If I can get free water and it's good water, then I got no issues. And I use that iOverlander app to double check this place, and supposedly there still is water here. But only one of the spigots, there's 3 spigots here that have water, has threads on the spigot. And you want the threads if you want to hook up a hose to it, but also you want the threads if you want to hook up a water filter. I like to use my jugs to hold the pre-filtered water, so then I can just drink straight from those jugs. So I will be using the filter, so I'm going to try and find the spigot, and I think this is the one that has the threads, so I can hook the filter right up to the threads. So let's see if I can get water. Let's see what my luck is. I'm pretty sure there's going to be water here. I have gotten water here before, and it has a really good flow rate. What happens is sometimes you'll get to, we're in the truck parking lot right now, the big truck parking lot, so it's pretty noisy. But what happens sometimes is you'll get to, this happens at rest areas usually, you'll find a spigot and you'll turn it on and they'll be like just dribbling out. There's one rest area where I've recorded in my Google Maps app that it gets like, I think it's like 2 minutes per gallon or something. So it's a pain in the butt to use. So I never go there to get water. But I know this one, if it does work, it has really good water pressure. So let's go see. Oh, well, this is bone dry right now, so wish me luck. Shoot. Oh no. You're not gonna believe this, but it looks like this is broken. This is supposed to be pressed in, and then when you press the handle down, water should come out. I could get a tool and jam that in there, but I think I'm gonna go check the other one, see if it works. So it does look like this one has threads too, and it works. I already got my shoes completely soaked. It says conserve water, but watch how this thing works. I hooked this up because this makes it a lot easier. And you got to pull this. There we go. See, that's what I got to do to fill them up. Rather than using the hose, I got to lift these jugs. It's really not that big of a deal. You know, they're heavy. They are 50 pounds, but you can see the water's starting to pour out of here. And so that's how I know I got this tank full. There's 24 gallons in this tank right here, and then there's a hot water tank that holds an extra 6 gallons, which that's always full of water. So between those two tanks in here, I got 30 gallons. Now I'm gonna go fill up the rest of these jugs, and I carry these in the bed of the truck. And so that way I can carry an extra 48 gallons in the truck. And this is how I like to do it, is fill up at the last minute as possible before I get into camp, especially because I'm going up into the mountains. Like, it's just less wear and tear on the truck. It's less weight to carry, because we're talking like I'm adding about 400 pounds of water right now. So we're gonna be, going a little bit slower, burning a little bit more fuel. So I like to not carry the water weight if I don't need to. Of course, you wanna have some for emergencies. And I always have water in my vehicle for emergencies. And now I'm filling these up for drinking water. So I got the filter on there. That's just your standard RV filter. I use these things all the time, and they last me, I probably use them 6 months or maybe even a year before I toss them. But it just helps filter out the water. The thing you got to worry about is water pressure. They're only supposed to handle about 40 PSI. And I know this thing, if I push this handle all the way down, it's going to be way more than that, and you'll blow out the water filter. I've done it before. So I'm only holding it down about halfway. It feels slower, but that way I don't have to worry about damaging the filter, basically. You can get a pressure regulator, which I've had before, but I always forget it, and I leave it on, I'll leave it on the spigot because it's brass, and so it looks just like the spigot, and I've forgotten it before, and so I lost it. But I will be getting a new pressure regulator. They're like 10 or 12 bucks. And once this fills up, I want to show you this handle, because this one's broken as well. And you might get here and think that there's no water, but obviously it does work. Man, it is noisy here. Imagine sleeping next to these big trucks at night. Sometimes they get really loud, but you can see here, see, this thing's broken too. This plastic part's broken, and then you got to push this in. It's kind of hard to show with one hand, but then you can get the lever action on it. If you don't, then that lever just misses, which is what was wrong with the other one over there. I'm watching these lizards while I pump my water. This truck just pulled in, and when they let the air out of their air brakes, it's pretty loud. Some of them are so loud. I mean, it feels like it's gonna blow out your eardrums. And Dodger hates it. He hates the rest areas. The good thing is we're heading to a really awesome place right now with trees and shade. It's already getting cooler as we get higher up in elevation. You can kind of see the mountains and the plateaus out in the distance there. And I'm starting to see the terrain change. A lot more tree cover, and when I say trees, I mean they're pretty small trees. But we're gonna get into some territory where there's fairly large trees. And that's the kind of camping I really need right now, and the dogs need. We're gonna do some good hiking there once we get there, and so I'm really excited about it. When I was just outside talking about filling up the water, I was having to yell like really loud because the road, it's just so noisy. Just traveling is so noisy compared to camping in nature, because we're so far removed from roads and traffic and like sirens and loud people and just like car after car after car. It's mostly what it is like you just run into cars. There's people like walking around, but I mean, very few. Most people are just driving to get from place to place. And when you get into towns and even the cities, everybody's just in their car inside. Like, people don't really go outside that much. It's kind of weird. So you're just dealing with cars. It's like, oh, there's this car's doing this. This car wants to pass you. And it's all good. I just did a lot of work, so I'm kind of mentally like drained, like having to change out all those little parts and figure out which one works, and then walk back and forth and try not to get caught up in the vehicles coming into the rest area, and then watching the dogs, making sure they have water. And Dodger only likes cold water, so I had some water in here that was hot, and he won't drink it. So then I have to go into the back and get him cold water. So I'm not thinking completely straight right now, but anyway, I think we're only about 30-40 miles from our campsite, and we're gonna have to be going up the mountain. So we're gonna be going uphill. So we're gonna be putting a lot of strain, on the engine, towing a lot more weight. And I'd rather do that kind of at the last minute, just before we get to the campsite, if I can arrange for that. If I know there's gonna be water fairly close to camping, then I like to get it kind of at the last minute. I always have backup water in the truck or in the trailer. Like, I always will have extra water available. So I'm never really running on empty. If I ever say I'm out of water, it means I have at least a couple gallons, but usually I probably have like 6 gallons stashed away. I mean, in the cab right here, I've got at least 2 gallons right here. And then in the truck, I have those blue jugs, and then I have 6 of these full of water too, usually about 6 of these. So I've got plenty of water. It's just when I get to a campsite, I like to be fully supplied with water, because then I can stay there as long as possible. I can go a couple weeks on a full load of water between me and the dogs, and showering and washing and brushing my teeth and all that. I also wanted to point out that any of the equipment you see us using, I always put links down below so you can check it out on Amazon. And you can see the price, and you can read all the reviews. And I'm only going to put links to stuff that I actually use regularly and that I like. So check out the description below. If you click on those links, it helps us out, even if you don't buy the product. If you just click on them, or click on one of them, just check out one of the products, that helps us out a lot. And of course, if you do buy something through one of those Amazon links, then we do get a little bit of a commission at the same time. So that helps out the channel. So I really appreciate that when you guys click on those links down there. So anything like the jugs or the filter or the spout, all that stuff that I was using today, you can check it out in the description down below. All right, I'm excited to get out of here. Like, being in this rest area it's just vehicles, and it's like dirty and it's so noisy. That's just the thing. And there's also, there's not a lot of shade. Like, in this parking area, there's really no shade. And it is getting cooler, but it is also at the same time, as the day goes on, it's getting hotter. Where we left, it's probably already almost about 10 degrees cooler than where we just left. And where we're gonna go is gonna be even cooler, probably 15 plus degrees cooler. So I'm really looking forward to that. So let's hit the road, and I'll show you my campsite when I get there. Now this is funny, because this is like my favorite place, one of my favorite places to camp. And there's a tree in the middle of the road. I don't know why someone hasn't moved it. It looks like I can get around it if I take this little road right here. Yeah. It's just funny, because I'm used to Washington State, and if a tree falls down in the roadway in Washington State, like you're up in the mountains or whatever, it's just a matter of like hours before someone will cut it and move it aside. And I've seen In Arizona, trees fall down, and that tree will be here for like weeks or months. I think what it is like in Arizona, the campers out here, they're not necessarily carrying chainsaws. I mean, actually, I don't have a chainsaw. I do have a couple small hand saws. So if that was blocking my path and I needed to get out, then I'd be sawing away at it. But in Washington State, a lot of people are carrying chainsaws, and they can cut that thing in a few pieces and then haul it away with their vehicle in just a matter of minutes. It's very common for trees to be over the roadways in the forest up there. So this road is, you can see I'm bouncing. The springs in the truck are squeaking a little bit because I really do have it loaded down with water. I really noticed it once we left the rest area. The extra weight, I mean, I could really feel it. It's mostly uphill from that rest area. We went up, I think we're at 7,000 feet and we were at about 4,000 at the rest area. So we went up 3,000 feet or so and just going uphill the whole time. And the truck did great. I mean, the truck did really, really well. A lot of times I was going like 45 when the speed limit is like 65 or 75. But I don't mind doing that. I just get behind another slow vehicle. I found a slow truck that I was behind most of the way. And then there was somebody else pulling a travel trailer and they were going super slow. And I just got behind them and I just take my time. You're going uphill. I don't need to be going fast. So this road's a little bit rough, but you can see I'm just going super slow. That's why I'm recording too, is because this is just a basic, backcountry dirt road. There's nobody driving on it. It's very sparsely populated out here as far as other campers. Otherwise, I would not have my camera out. I know some people will show the road and the freeways as they're driving, the different towns that they're passing through, but I like to be safe, and so I don't roll camera when I'm driving on a real road. I'm just putzing along. I'm going like 2 miles an hour. So we're gonna find a campsite here. The dogs are super happy. Something happened when we were driving to Echo that I'll tell you about later. It was pretty funny. He's a good dog. I'm in 4x4 and not having any problems. This road is like kind of paved from back in the day, but it's pretty worn out. And I just wanted to check this one little spot. I know it looks like as soon as you get out and take a look, it's like not a big deal. I just want to double check so I can get the tires in the right spot so I'm not going to bottom anything out. Yeah, it should be fine. Man, it is nice here. Can you tell it's like cloudy? It's like partially cloudy, and the trees and the air is not like dead dry. It's kind of just a little bit moist, and that feels so good. And I'm just looking through the woods here to see if I see somebody camped back here. Just because I'm getting pretty excited that there might not be anybody in the area where I want to camp. Okay, let's see where we end up. The dogs are happy. They're drinking water. They drink in the truck too, but when they get to a spot that they're happy with, then they start drinking a lot. They start peeing, going to the bathroom out here. We found a good spot. There are people camped pretty close by, but I feel pretty separated from where they are. You can probably see them back there. There's a few fifth wheels, probably like 4 fifth wheels back there. I got a little hot and sweaty. I feel nasty. That's one of the reasons I'm so glad that I filled up on water, because I can take a shower right now. It doesn't matter. It's not wasting water because I've got a lot of water. Sometimes, you know, I'll try to just take a basic shower every 2 or 3 days. But I did a lot of stuff today already, and I'm just so sticky and gross. Like, I just want to get that off of me. So that's one of the first things I'm going to do is hop in the shower. One thing that I notice and I remember about this area is there are bugs. And I do not want to get bit by these little tiny black flies. I think they come around because there's cattle in this area. There's also a lot of elk and deer in this area too. The little black flies can get in through the screens on the windows and the door right here. They're just so small, they can get right in there. So I have to manage that. If you get bit by those things, and I will, an echo is one of the first indicators, because they'll swarm to him and then he'll want to come inside to get away from them. But if you get bit, they itch for a week. It's worse than a mosquito bite, and they're like my nemesis, my worst nemesis. But honestly, being in a place like this, it's worth it. Once you start hiking around, then the bugs don't seem to follow you as long as you keep moving. If you stay in one spot, then they will get onto your ankles, start biting you, they'll get on your arms. I feel like I already got a couple bites. What do you think, Mr. Echo? Now, the main concern with him out here, besides the bugs, is him chasing stuff. Because there's a lot of wildlife out here. But he's going to be a good dog. When he starts sniffing up in the air, you know, if his nose is level to the ground, that just means he's kind of smelling stuff. But if he tilts his nose up, that usually means there's a hooved animal nearby, a deer or a cow. So I try to pay close attention to that. This is an awesome place. I've got a lot of open sky here above the trailer, which means we're going to get a lot of solar power, which is great. I only have 2 small panels up there, and getting the most sun I can is usually a good thing. This time of year, I don't even need that though. I'm not a power hog. I just don't use a lot of power. So those 2 panels really get me by. And you would think with trees like this, you're going to get a little bit of shade, and it doesn't matter. I get plenty of power out here. I'm so excited to be here. I cannot wait to take a shower. The sun is beating down on me right now, and it's fairly hot. There's a cool breeze, so that kind of makes up for it. Echo, you just got to stay here. And you can see there's deer scat right here. And Mr. Echo will, I hate to say this, but he'll eat that. There's not much I can do about it. I do tell him like not to eat it, and he'll stop, but then when I'm not looking, he'll chow down on it. And there's a lot of hoof prints, which yeah, they look like deer and elk, and there's a few cow prints, but not many. Camped here in a spot like this, you're probably not going to see as dramatic of videos that I've been posting lately, because we've had a lot of issues. I don't think we're going to have many issues here. I think we can be here for a couple weeks, and it's going to be like paradise to us. There's tons of hiking. It's going to be quiet. There are other campers around, you know, so it's not super secluded, but we're a couple miles from the main road, so you can't even hear it from here. I think the main thing is going to be, you know, the most dramatic thing is going to be the bugs. So stay tuned for that. and see how we deal with that. I need to get one of those little miniature bug zappers. I put one on my Amazon wish list because I'm skeptical, like, if it even works. If you all know if those little USB bug zappers work, I would love to have something like that inside the trailer. You know, if it works. If you know of something that works, then put it down in the comments, let me know. And don't forget to hit that like button. Let us know you're watching. We like to know you're watching. And don't forget to subscribe. It's free. And that way you won't miss any of our videos because they'll pop up in your feed when you're watching us. I can hear birds. I love this area.